the S, Jill,
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah,
and that stands for Sean.
that's right.
So when I first got this, I put it on Do Not Disturb, but I didn't know.
Go to call the meeting to order. We are going to
Cosby.
change the agenda around a little bit. Start off with Jill getting sworn in.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Make sure this is on. Yes, it's on. Hello.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, before I start, thank you so much for your willingness to stay on for another term. I know the library board had full confidence in you, and we've gotten a lot done the years you've been on the board. We've gotten a lot done, and I certainly appreciate your work with the board and parks, and Warsaw is a better place to live because of people like you that are willing to vision our parks, and we just got a lot to get done this year. So happy you're joining us. And with that, I'll ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jill Beeler,
I, Jill Beeler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and diligently, I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Parks and Recreation Board
as a member of the Parks and Recreation Board
for the City of Warsaw, Indiana,
for the City of Warsaw, Indiana,
according to the law
according to the law,
and the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I gave you faithfully, impartially, and diligently all this. Every now and then I try that. The music doesn't work. I need you to sign,
Thank you.
print your name there, and then just pass it down to Suzanne. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Jill.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, next thing up is the approval of the minutes from the November meeting. Everybody's had a chance to read and go over them. If any changes or amendments? If not, we need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Got a motion to accept, need a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, next thing up, we're going to go to the election of officers for this year. Open up with the nomination for president.
Well, I nominate you, Steve. You've done such a great job. I mean, seriously, joking aside, you've done a wonderful job.
Absolutely. I would second that nomination. If you were into, as the mayor said, some major projects, hate to change course at this point. The park office is looking great, Center Lake and everything else, and we appreciate you focusing in on those projects like you have.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Guess not.
I move that we close the
move that we close.
I
nomination.
accept. Thank you. Nominations for vice president. Don't everybody
Yeah.
speak at once.
I move that we nominate Larry for another term. Jill wanted to, but she,
Yes, yes, but she chickened out. So, yes, we all obviously down here think that you would be a
Okay.
wonderful choice. You've done a nice job.
Sure.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed. Congratulations.
do we have to vote? We don't have to say aye or nay.
Okay, vote on president first. All in favor of me? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody in favor of Larry for vice, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're official. Okay, the, next up, we're gonna go to the declaratory resolution on the park office.
Yeah, I've asked Randy to come and speak a little bit about that and let you know what this is all about.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to meet all of you. I'm Randy Rampola. I'm an attorney with Barnes and Thornburg with offices up in South Bend, and have done work for the city over the years as bond counsel as the city has done financings and economic development. So I'm here tonight to talk about this resolution, which provides for the initial step to contemplate the issuance of park district bonds. And so this is for the project that the city has begun to undertake to provide for a new support building for the Parks Department. As I understand, it'll provide office space and vehicle garages and supply and storage space as well for the Parks Department. The project cost, part of it is being paid for, or has been paid for, out of city funds, and so what we're here today is to talk about the balance of the project cost, which would be funded out of a proposed park bond issue. The park district, has the ability to issue essentially what are general obligation bonds, but they're called special taxing district bonds because they're payable out of a tax levy on the park district, which has boundaries coterminous with the city. So the civil city has the ability to issue general obligation bonds. The park district has the ability to issue park district bonds, special taxing district bonds payable from a tax levy on the park district. So the city has its own debt limit and the park district has its own debt limit. So the idea here would be to issue these bonds as park district bonds to utilize the park debt limit to help pay for the balance of this project. And so the steps that have to be taken are approval of this declaratory resolution. The resolution sets a public hearing that the park board would hold at its February meeting. And in the meantime, the common council has to approve of the issuance of the bonds by an ordinance, and we would schedule that as well. So we will take both actions in tandem on our calendar. The bonds that are being contemplated are $2,800,000. That's the not to exceed amount. Andy Mauser, who works with Baker Tilly and serves as a municipal advisor to the city, he indicated that the actual amount is probably closer to 2.4 million. But again, as we're starting this process, we want to set out parameters. And so when we get to the point of actually issuing bonds, we can reduce the bond size, issue the bonds at the actual interest rate of the sale. So you'll see in this resolution and the resolutions to follow next month, as will the council, that there will be parameters set forth for the bond issue. And the first parameter today is the 2.8 million, but as I indicated, we're expecting that issue to be closer to 2.4 million. The resolution sets out the project, which is laid out in Exhibit A to the resolution, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but that's what Jeremy and Larry provided as far as what the project itself is. The city started this project with, as a BOT, Build, Operate, Transfer agreement with Greg Martz, and the project is under construction. And as I indicated, the first part of the project was paid for by the city out of its funds. And so what is being asked today is to start the process to pay for the balance of the project out of a bond issue that would be ultimately issued through Park District bonds. I did indicate, in addition to the actions you take, the city council does have to approve the issuance of the bonds as the elected body of the city, so that will happen as well. If you adopt the resolution today, we would start the calendar, publish notices, and come back at your February meeting for adoption of a bond resolution, and that will lay out more of the terms of the bonds. We're anticipating selling bonds then in mid-March and closing by the end of March, early April, last week of March, first week of April. And at that point, then the city would have, and the park board and park district would have the funds to pay the balance of the project. So I just went through it very quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
Can I ask you a couple, please? So how much of the building's already been paid to their? 3.4.
Yeah.
So,
not to exceed BOT at a maximum price of 3.6. We use city funds to pay 1.4, and there'll be some issuance costs, so I think that's why the 2.4 is probably the amount that will be necessary.
Right.
And then how are the bonds paid back, I guess?
They're paid back from a special tax levy that would be levied on the Park District, which again is similar to what the city would do with general obligation bonds. There's just an additional debt service tax levy that would be levied. The annual payments are expected to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $360,000 to $385,000 for the life of the bonds. And currently, Andy's looking at a final payment of about August 2031. So it's a relatively short bond issue, and as I said, those payments are somewhere between $360,000 and $385,000. At this point, it's annually, $360,000, $385,000 annually. And at this point, those are estimates based on some interest rate assumptions. So once the bonds are sold later in March, we'll have the final interest rates and the final principal amount of the bonds.
Randy, when would the levy go into effect for the taxpayers? When would they see that?
It would go into effect next year,
So in the year 2024?
2024, correct. Right.
Any of those outside the levy, is that payment outside the levy?
It's,
Similar to June bond?
it is, yes, it is. It's outside the levy, but it's inside the circuit breaker. So it's a separate levy,
Right.
but it is inside the circuit breaker. Right, yeah.
Any other questions? Any discussion? If not, we need a motion to approve the resolution. Oh, yeah. It's Resolution PB 2023-0101.
I would make that motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Motion approved, need a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
How many copies of the signatures of this do we need, Randy?
I just need to take one.
Just need one?
So then in February, October, wishing my year away. In February, we'll have, the public will be invited to the hearing on this, is that
Yes,
correct?
and
Did I
actually-
understand you to
yes.
say that? Okay.
Yes, there are a couple of hearings, so what you're adopting today is a declaratory resolution, and then in February, there will be a confirming resolution. We have a public hearing on that, and then we also have a public hearing on the appropriation of the bond proceeds. So there will be technically two public hearings at the February meeting.
Thank you.
There's 2 copies here for everybody to sign. Okay, with that done, now we go back to unfinished business. Office maintenance garage update.
Yeah, since we were just talking about this, today I went and toured the facility, and, a lot's been happening down there. All the metal interior walls are up, all the overhead doors are installed, almost all the exterior glass is installed now. There's a couple on the south side up high that aren't. They started hanging drywall today. They're continuing their mechanical, electrical, and plumbing and wall rough ends in the parks office part of it. They're getting ready to prep and pour the concrete stairs and the mezzanine. They're starting to install the toilet accessories and door hardware. And then they're also made an adjustment for the ADA parking stall in front of the building to allow that, and 2 spaces to the north of that for parking for the park office too, for visitors, so as well. Randy, I've got the other pages for that if you want that. So it's coming together. We just had our construction meeting today. We're still looking at March 3rd for the certificate of occupancy, and then March 20th for the move-in date. that's where we're at now. There were a few, couple weather half delays in there, and then just some things they needed to do. But that's pretty much on schedule, what we've had from the start. So
Okay.
we're excited. Sean and I were in there, and we think this is going to be a really nice building. It's going to flow. It's going to bring our staff back together with the maintenance part of the site. And yes, it's every time I walk in there, it's exciting to me. So yeah.
Great. Questions, comments? Okay, Center Lake Pavilion update.
We also had a construction meeting in there today. Again, we're moving along. Progress is moving along well in there. They have all the interior framing done inside the pavilion. They've got the headers, the beams up. You can really designate where the areas are now. The kitchen's been moved, the back room's opened up, all the restroom walls are up front. They did the plumbing in the floor and patched that with concrete. The stairs, the new stairway is up there into the new mezzanine, and the floor is down in that. They're working on electrical, roofing, heating and cooling, security cameras, fobs, installation, bi-weekly construction meetings keep us posted on the progress. So we have a meeting every 2 weeks down there. But we're also currently working with the Zimmer Biomet Foundation and Greatcraft on the sign for the front of the pavilion. I'm going to have that within about a week to present to Adam Griner with the Zimmer Biomet Foundation and get their approval on that. And then we'll bring that to the board too as well. But things are moving fairly smooth down there, so we're excited. We also got a rendition to add a little bit more of that. We're talking about the recreational trail that we're working on to go through there. We got a rendition of that. How that ADA ramp and plantings and stuff would hook onto the pavilion, so I'll share that with you too at a later date as well, but it looked really exciting and it looked good. So it's all coming together, all these projects at once, but it's a game changer down there. It's going to be really nice.
Any chance we could go through it sometime?
Absolutely, call me up anytime you want to go. I got an extra hard hat and a vest and we'll have to put on, but absolutely. They're very open to letting you come in and look at it. So yeah, just let me know, Joe.
Yeah, I'd love
Yep,
This sounds
absolutely.
exciting.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? Okay. Move on to maintenance report.
All right, yeah, so the Christmas display was a success this year, I believe. The weather was great to put the lights up, and the weather was great to take the lights down. They're all down and in storage. The Young Tiger Football Organization, they ran the concessions trailer again this year. They were down this year because around Christmas Eve weekend, it was so cold that nobody was coming out, so they didn't even staff it, just so we weren't inviting the public outside while it was so cold. But they still came up with $873, which they donated to the parks for future displays. We'd like to thank them for that. Also, the varsity high school football team had volunteers in there as well, right?
Yeah, Coach
So-
Curtis was involved in that, and got about six football players each night that we did it to run 2 different shifts down there. So we'd like to thank them as well.
Yeah.
They're a big part of that.
It was a big help. Let's see. Also, we recently had 4 members of our staff complete playground maintenance technician training online successfully, so we can stay fresh on our updated playground safety inspections. We've removed all of the pine trees by the NIPSCO substation in Central Park. We're currently going through and with a stump grinder, removing the stumps. I've been in contact with Dogwood Hills Tree Farm. They're going to plant new arborvitae down the middle of where the pine trees were to give us a buffer between the substation and the park. And he said if the weather's cooperating next week, he'd like to be here by next week to try to get those done. So hopefully we'll have a quick turnaround on all of that. We've also had a few of our staff here at City Hall down in the basement helping hang some drop ceilings and install some lighting down there. It's actually worked out kind of good. Timing wise, this time of year, it's a little easier to break a few guys away, and we're happy to be able to help and work interdepartmentally with the whole city, and wherever we can help, we try to. And then lastly, we're about halfway through our large picnic tables, refurbishing them. But with the nice weather we've had, we broke off of those to get jumped on those trees and get them down, and then we'll be back on picnic tables here shortly. I think that's about it.
Questions, comments?
The Christmas lights were wonderful again.
Yeah, they
They
were.
were,
Great job.
We got a lot of comments about being all LED this year. They were really bright and stood out. We had a opening night, we had a few people unplugging a couple things, but we caught up with that. Other than that, we had very little issues. It was a pretty easy year.
Any comments on the T-Rex?
Yes, actually, we were standing there for the parade, and there was a little kid that just screamed, "Mommy, there's a T-Rex!" And it just kind of made my night.
Yeah.
You know, they got recognized that first night.
Okay, on to recreation report.
Okay, so that's where I was going to start with Light Up the Night. I would like to thank Sean and Larry and his crew for making the park beautiful for what I get to do out there, and thank the park board members that were there for that. We're guessing about 1,500 or more participants for that, and we get to make a difference too. And I think Santa Claus, you know, he was amazing, and we get to see that. And if it wasn't for the guys and what they do with the lights, you know, we wouldn't be able to do what we do out there. That leads us into Santa letters. We had 47 letters this year. That was up from 21 last year. So we doubled our Santa letters, and those are only $2 each. Those are always fun. And then we had Santa's Workshop. That program was completely full. We had a lot of great feedback, and Suzanne and Heather made that possible for that program to happen. And this year, we will be able to have a couple more of those too. Imagination Station, we ended up having 40 kits go out between in-person and pickup kits. So I was really happy with that. And right now, Daddy's Little Sweetheart Dance, we have Saturday night completely sold out. And when I came in tonight and sat down, I checked, we have 32 tickets left for Friday night. So that's going really well. I have Rock and Country completely secured. We still have a few last minute things to do for the blues, but that will be done very quickly. I am also working on tennis and pickleball lessons and clinics for children, pickleball clinics for adults. And as of this morning, Larry and I talked, I am going to be able to do a mommy-son dance this year. So we've been having a lot of people ask for it, and I'm like, let's do it. My day has been great. I've been smiling the entire day, Larry, and Sean can tell you, even Suzanne. We are going to do that on Friday, May 12th, which is actually Mother's Day weekend. We thought that would give the community something, extra this year. So we're still working on a few last minute things for that, but I'm really excited to be able to add that to the calendar this year. So other than that, everything's going really well, and we're planning for a couple extra things for senior citizens to do and a jewelry making class this year. So
Sounds great. Questions, comments?
I'm excited to hear about the senior things that you decided to do. I think that will be good.
yeah, Heather and I have been sitting down. We started in December really looking at things, and the last couple of weeks we've really come together and tried to figure out what we could bring to our community within the Parks Department, just to make life better for a lot of people. So we're working really hard on those things.
And that came up at the County Parks Board meeting too, that population is underserved and that we need to look
Right.
at what we can offer our
Right.
senior population.
And right now, we are in the building with the senior center, so sometimes I get a chance to just walk up there and talk to them, and they're telling me what they would like to see and what they can afford. So I'm really listening to that to see what we can do.
Good job.
Thank you.
It was really exciting to see Santa and all of the adults. It was amazing how many adults had their picture taken with
Yeah.
their child and with Santa.
Yes.
And how excited they all were, and They really liked having their pictures taken, and it was good. It was very good.
And it's fun, and it makes, when you're working, it makes me realize how much planning and work that goes into that for all the staff. So
Yeah.
just gets bigger and better every year. I don't know how that can happen, but it
Well,
does.
thank you.
Yeah.
It makes my heart happy to do this, so.
Okay, other matters,
I don't have any, Steve. I'm good.
okay? Meeting review, well, tonight we did something we've never done. I've been here a lot of years. This is the first resolution like that we've ever done.
I think so.
Yeah, something new, and I want to thank everybody for your faith for letting me be president for another year, especially you.
Well, we want to thank Steve for the staff luncheon. I know
Yes.
there were a lot of work went into
Yes.
making the chili, and put a lot of time and effort and money into that. We appreciate that, Steve, I think, and I know everybody enjoyed that.
They did.
No problem,
Yeah,
thank
they
you.
did.
With that, we need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Thank you all.
Sean, I have
We all need to
touch.
congratulate our mayor
Okay.
on his, well, you're away yet.